But tonight, our top focus is an India Today special investigation. For the last fortnight, headlines have suggested that the Election Commission's special intensive revision in Bihar, by which electoral rolls in Bihar are being redrawn, has generated plenty of political controversy. The exercise ahead of the Bihar elections later this year is, according to the Election Commission, aimed to verify all the voters of Bihar with documentation. The drive, launched this month, has set a deadline of July 25th for submission of the enumeration forms by voters, and the entire process of verification by the EC has to end by the 30th of September. During this period, over 7.775 crore voters will be verified. But what is causing fear, concern among the voters is that the most common documents that people have, Aadhaar, voter card, ration cards, are not being accepted as proof. The Supreme Court has even suggested to the EC to include these. The criticism also is that the 2-month period is a very short window for many, including migrants, to submit the required documents. The opposition is claiming 2 to 2.5 crore voters of Bihar could be disenfranchised and calling it vote Bandi, where it appears that the government is going ahead with a scheme that could actually be an assault on our democracy. The Election Commission, however, claims that the drive is to remove the deceased, duplicate entries and non-residents from the list. The EC also claims it will prevent illegal migrants from being enrolled. In effect, though, the revision, according to some, including BJP allies like the TDP, say could end up as a citizenship test or NRC by the backdoor. Either way, the truth needs to be told. Therefore, that's what we are going to do today. The Election Commission has claimed it has collected 86.32% of the forms from voters in Bihar already. It adds that over 6 crore forms have been uploaded on the server. But the truth is, on the ground, there is immense pressure on the booth-level officers to meet the July 25th enumeration form deadline. Our correspondent Shreya Chatterjee, on the ground, in her reality check, found that voters at many places are complaining that many of the BLOs are filling up forms but not even visiting the locations. Online submission of the forms is also proving to be a challenge, and in many cases, signatures are being taken without even the documents available. The truth of the Bihar files in this ground report by Shreya Chatterjee.
There's a clear rush to meet the deadline. Faced with scrutiny and criticism from the opposition, the special intensive revision of the voter roll has now been simplified. Booth-level officers are trying to get maximum forms uploaded even where there are no supporting documents available. In Hajipur, most people are now eagerly participating, irrespective of their age. Roughly an hour's drive away from Hajipur, India Today reaches another key constituency of Bihar, Muzaffarpur.
हम अभी एक बीएलओ कार्यालय में मौजूद हैं। ये मुजफ्फरपुर में है, बिहार में। आप देख सकते हैं कि बीएलओ सुपरवाइज़र, उनके साथ साथ जो लोग यहाँ पे आए हुए हैं अपना फॉर्म सबमिट करने के लिए, वो बैठ के ये काम कर रहे हैं। ये बताना बेहद ज़रूरी है कि ये ऐसा एक बीएलओ दफ्तर है जहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा फॉर्म अब तक सबमिट हो चुकी है।
इसमें मेनली हम लोग को इलेक्शन कमीशन के द्वारा एक गणना प्रपत्र दिया गया है। ये फॉर्मेट है उसका, ठीक है, जिसमें आवेदक का ऑलरेडी पूर्व से उनका इपिक नंबर, नाम, ठीक है, पता, QR कोड दिया रहता है, ठीक है। ये फॉर्म हम लोग आवेदक को बीएलओ के माध्यम से घर पर उनको देते हैं, ठीक है, जिसमें उनको एक करेंट फ़ोटो, जन्म तिथि, उनके पिता का नाम, माता का नाम और आधार कार्ड यदि है तो वैकल्पिक में है, ठीक है, और उनको अपना बताना पड़ता है कि हम 87 से पहले के हैं या 87 से 2004 के बीच के हैं या 4 के बाद के हैं।
The process of revision and submission of forms for the voter list continues earnestly.
एक सरकार के द्वारा एक साइट दिया गया है, ठीक है, जो बीएलओ ऐप का रहता है अपना, जिसमें बीएलओ ऐप में उनके मोबाइल नंबर पर ही OTP आता है और वो लॉगिन होता है।
जैसे ये बीएलओ है, इनके OTP से,
हाँ, इनके OTP से आएगा, ठीक है। उसके बाद इसमें एक नया एक ऑप्शन आया स्पेशल इंसेसिव रिसीविजन SIR, ठीक है। इसको हम ओपन किए। इसमें हमसे पूछा जाता है कि स्कैन और QR कोड फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट फॉर्म या सर्च बाय इपिक नंबर। हम लोग इनको सर्च करते हैं, ठीक है।
मान लीजिए अगर 2003 के बाद के वोटर हैं, डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं है, लेकिन आप लोग लोकल हो, BLO हो, आप जानते हो, तो आपके पास ये अथॉरिटी है कि आप रेकमेंड कर सकते हैं उनको 2003 के बाद वाले के लिए।
अगर उनका है तो हम लोग एक रजिस्टर हम लोग को मिला है, जो BLO को मिला हुआ है, उस रजिस्टर के माध्यम से हम लोग उनका चेक करते हैं। अगर पिछले इलेक्शन से अगर जैसे कोई राजीव रंजन जी है, चाहे ये नेहा कुमारी जी है, अगर इनका दे रहा है, अगर नेहा कुमारी हैं तो उनसे हम लोग दस्तखत कराकर और फिर हम उस फॉर्म को अपलोड कर देते हैं।
बिना डॉक्यूमेंट भी आप वो रेकमेंड करके दे सकते हो क्योंकि आप लोकल हो और आप
हम उनको चीन रहे हैं। यस।
Booth level officers, commonly called the BLO, are locals and they are working in tandem with elected representatives and voters to scan the existing voter list for dead and ghost voters.
और अभी आपको कोई ऐसे भी लिस्ट मिले हैं जैसे आप बता रहे थे जो एग्जिस्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं?
हमारे पास अभी इतने लिस्ट आए हैं जो मृत का लिस्ट है हमारे पास, ठीक है। इतने व्यक्ति हमारे मर चुके हैं जिनका हम लोग अभी चढ़ाए नहीं, अपडेट नहीं किए फॉर्म को। इसको हम लोग बस छाट लिए हैं आसपास पर जाकर। जैसे कि ये व्यक्ति, ये घर वाले नहीं हैं, इनके कोई माता पिता नहीं है, तो उनका हम लोग फॉर्म देख लिए, आसपास से जानकारी ले लिए कि अभी मृत है। इसको हम लोग अभी छाट लिए अलग। इस पर हम लोग फिर 1-2 आदमी जो वहाँ के लोकल पार्षद हुए, चाहे लोकल जो जनप्रतिनिधि, उनसे बात करके सबसे बात कंफर्म हो जाएंगे। फिर हमारे जो सीनियर आएंगे वो देखेंगे, तब इसका हम फॉर्म अपडेट करेंगे। ये मृत हो गया।
The work is tedious and thankless, yet most critical for the successful dance of democracy. Less than an hour's drive away in Katihar district, people living by the mighty Mahananda River get displaced every monsoon. Generations live in makeshift houses and that's their home. This time, they are not enumerated in the voter list and no BLO has come looking for them.
We are in this village called Dhabol in Katihar, and you can see the Mahananda River is just on the adjacent side of this particular village. It's one of those areas in Simanchal which is infamous for floods. Floods are a normal life of these people who stay here. We want to understand that whether the booth level officers, as being claimed by the election commission, are visiting their villages or not.
कोई घर पे आया नहीं, हम लोग खुद जाके जमा करके आए हैं बस।
तो अगर BLO नहीं आते हैं और अगर कोई नहीं जाता है तो उसका तो नाम कट जाएगा।
कट जाएगा, वो तो नाम कट जाएगा। जानकारी नहीं है तो क्या करेंगे, नाम तो कटेगा।
तो अभी तो मात्र 14 दिन है, अगर ऐसे ही ना जाने के कारण या फिर ना मिलने के कारण तो कट जाएगा ना।
हाँ, कट सकता है। अगर नहीं जाएगा, उसको जानकारी नहीं मिलेगी तो वो तो नहीं है ना, कटिए ना जाएगा।
So as you heard them on the ground, this is something which shouldn't happen because it is called a special intensive revision. It is supposed to be intensive in nature. The Election Commission every day is suggesting that a huge number of BLOs are already working on the project. If there is a manpower deficit, then more BLOs can also be connected on the ground. Despite so, the ground reality hits a little different when you move from the urban pockets towards the rural belts. The BLOs here are not visiting their homes. They are sitting in their cushy comforts, we would say, and they're expecting people to just find out and just come to them so that they submit it. So this is a grim reality.
There is pressure on the block level officers to reach the target, and that makes them rush through the entire verification process.
ये पहले तो आप लोगों को बोला गया था सारे डॉक्यूमेंट लो, फिर क्या हुआ?
प्रेशर आ रहा है ऊपर से कि आप लोगों को आज 100 फॉर्म कलेक्ट करना है, 200 फॉर्म कलेक्ट करना है। जो हम लोगों का सुपरवाइजर है, ठीक है, उनके द्वारा कहा जा रहा है कि आप लोगों को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा फॉर्म कलेक्ट करना है, ठीक है। तो हम लोग मैक्सिमम कलेक्ट कर रहे हैं फॉर्म, लेकिन उससे पहले होता था कि जब डॉक्यूमेंट्स मांगा गया था तो उसमें फॉर्म बहुत ज़्यादा कम कलेक्ट हो रहा था।
ऑनलाइन अपलोड करने में दिक्कत हो रही है?
नहीं, तो हम लोग ऑनलाइन दिक्कत नहीं करते हैं। ऑनलाइन हम लोग जाकर ऑफिस में डाल दे देते हैं फॉर्म कलेक्ट करके। उन लोगों को अलग ऑनलाइन करने के लिए अलग से वहाँ पे टीम बनाई गई है, वो लोग ऑनलाइन करते हैं वहाँ पे।
This rush leads to people falling through the cracks. In 3 panchayats of this area, the 2003 list is reportedly missing, leading to deletion of names that even the BLO on ground was not aware of.
ऑनलाइन भरने में दिक्कत हो रही है नेट और ये सब चीजों से?
ऑनलाइन तो हम तो नहीं कर रहे हैं मैडम, हम कैसे करें?
कौन भर रहा है फिर? बीएलओ तो
ऑनलाइन नहीं, बीएलओ तो है, ऑनलाइन करने में हम लोग को ना ये ऐप जो है थोड़ा दिक्कत हो रहा था।
हाँ, तो ये जो कुछ लोगों की डिलीट होने की बात आ रही है, ये कैसे हो गया?
नहीं, इसके बारे में हमको भी मालूम नहीं है। हम लोग भी सूची देख के हम लोग भी कंफ्यूजन में है कि आखिर ये कैसे हुआ। जब तक हम लोग लिख के नहीं दिए, कुछ फॉर्म भर के नहीं दिए, आखिर हुआ कैसे?
The deadline approaches and there is a rush that beats the purpose of special intensive revision of voter list in Bihar. With video journalist Sanjay, Shreya Chatterjee reports from Katihar, Bihar for India Today.
Now, the biggest fear among many voters in Bihar is that the revision in reality could be a citizenship test. And that fear is being reflected on the ground. Many voters claim they are being profiled on the basis of religion and language. If you speak Bengali, you're accused of being a Bangladeshi. If you're a Muslim, again there are question marks. And if you're a Nepal, if you have migrated from Nepal in the past, then too you find yourself targeted. Here is another report.
Another district, another village, another story of missing names.
इस वाले लिस्ट में नाम नहीं आया।
नहीं फिर आया, इधर दो महीने से नहीं आया। यही था कि नहीं आया।
अभी नहीं, आपका नाम और फॉर्म नहीं मिल रहा है?
नहीं।
They were voters then.
2011 से 2003 से डाल रहे हैं मैम वोट।
24 में दिए थे। 2024 में हम डाले हैं वोट। 2024 में।
ठीक है। We know that the Simanchal region is now in the conversation because of the fact that a lot of people believe that it's been dominated by the illegal Bangladeshi immigrants, is why the special intensive revision process is required in the first place. And hence we have travelled to Simanchal to understand and assess the ground reality.
In Chimney Bazar village of Purnia district, people are fighting a battle to ensure their fundamental right to vote.
संख्या में मेरे वार्ड में तकरीबन 400 वोटर्स जो है, सिर्फ मेरे वार्ड में, वार्ड संख्या 32 में 400 वोटर ऐसा है कि उनको फॉर्म नहीं मिला। किस कारण से नहीं मिला? क्योंकि इपिक नंबर गलत बता रहा है। नहीं, कभी बीएलओ ये कोशिश किए हैं कि चले अपने क्षेत्र में जाके एक बार फरमान करके आ जाते हैं या घूम के आ जाते हैं, या वोटर लिस्ट किसका है या नहीं है।
कितने बीएलओ की जिम्मेदारी है आपके वार्ड में?
मेरे वार्ड में 4 बीएलओ की जिम्मेदारी है।
चारों में से चारों नहीं दिख रहे हैं?
नहीं, कभी नहीं। बीएलओ को जो गाइडलाइन करते हैं उनसे भी बात किए, उन्होंने आश्वासन दिया कि मैं आ रहा हूँ, और आज 3 दिन से वो आ रहे हैं और मैं फ़ोन करते करते थक चुका हूँ।
तो अचानक से जब ये हो रहा है, आपको क्या लगता है कि क्यों आपका नाम नहीं है या फिर इन लोगों का नाम नहीं है?
ये तो हम कहेंगे ये हो सकता है सरकार का सोची समझी साजिश।
The deletion of names have irked the locals. They allege their language and religious identity has been targeted.
বাংলা ভাষা নিয়েই প্রবলেম, যে বাংলা বললেই এখানে নাই।
বাংলা বললেই এখানে নাই, বাঙালের থেকে জয় বাংলা আজকে থেকে দেখি, পূর্বপুরুষ হয়ে গেল তো দেখা নাই।
তাহলে
আর এই মালদা ডিস্ট্রিক্ট আমাদের মুর্শিদাবাদের জন্মস্থান, বাপ দাদার সব জন্মস্থান মুর্শিদাবাদের। ও কি বাংলাদেশের? বাংলাদেশের তো না, এখানকার। মুর্শিদাবাদ থেকে এখানে এসে মালদা, আর মালদা থেকে এসে এখানে পড়েছি। আজকে আমি বুঝে গেলাম আমার জন্মস্থান এখানে।
না, এইটাই খুব ইজি না বলা, যেহেতু বাংলায় কথা বলছো তাই জন্য বাংলাদেশ থেকে।
बंगाल से आए हम लोग, और मुर्शिदाबाद, जंगीपुर, कोलकाता भी 4 बार 5 बार गए हम। और उसके यहाँ से मुर्शिदाबाद से मालदा, रातुआ थाना, जिला मालदा, उसके बाद पूर्णिया में आकर के गिरे। हाँ, पूर्णिया में आकर के गिरे। और पूर्णिया कौन है? बिहार है। बस हम लोग पूर्णिया,
देश में तो कहीं भी जा सकते हैं।
सादर में पढ़ते हैं, हमारा घर साकिन चिमनी बाजार दरगाह टोला हुआ इस बार।
क्या ये धर्म को लेके या फिर भाषा को लेके ही हो रहा है?
हाँ, भाषा को लेकर के हो रहा है कि धर्म को लेकर के हो रहा है। जो धर्म को हमको खराब बोलेगा वो ऊपर वाले से मार खाएगा, हमसे नहीं, हम तो नहीं सकेंगे, लेकिन ऊपर वाले से मार खाएगा। खाया नहीं खाया देखो चारों तरफ।
Time is of the essence right now. People refuse to give up their fight for the right to vote. Nearly 2 hours from Katihar via Purnia is Kishangunj. The indo-Nepal border is another hour and a half drive away. This entire region is not only closer to Nepal but also very close to North Bengal. The Bangladesh border is not far away either. The demographics of the region is mixed and the porous border complicates things further, posing challenges for the Special Intensive Revision of Election Commission. People in and around Sheshabadi village have traditionally been migrants from Bengal and Bangladesh as well. Many are married to Nepali women. Locals claim that this migration has been a long-established tradition of the region. Women who have come from Nepal and settled here after marriage want their due recognition.
नेपाल से यहाँ आने जाने का मूवमेंट कैसा है? नॉर्मल कोई भी आ जा सकता है ना?
जी हाँ, कोई भी जा सकता है। बहुत आसान है, ठीक है, क्योंकि हमारा बॉर्डर साइड में है ना घर, तो बहुत आसान है। बहुत लोग आते हैं भी, जाते हैं भी।
है आधार कार्ड,
सिर्फ आधार देखते हैं।
हाँ, आधार देखते हैं।
It is indeed a simple process to walk across the border to Nepal from here.
We are right now on the India and Nepal border. That is India, as you see. And on my left-hand side, I'll ask my cameraman Sanjay to show you that is Nepal. Now, I'll just show you that I am not carrying my passport. This is an Aadhaar card that I have. And based on this, I will be going inside Nepal. We have our carriages who will be taking us from India to Nepal. And we will give you a short tour and just give you an understanding of how porous our borders exactly are. So this is a journey that we are taking only for people to understand who are away from these localities, which is the ground zero, because they clearly do not have an understanding of how borders essentially are. We probably think that borders are well guarded all the time. It are closed enclosures, but look at how we are just crossing into Nepal without any kind of a passport, just with my Aadhaar card, if at all I'm stopped. But essentially that's what something that does not really happen, and we are in the land of Nepal right now. It is a friendly country with India, and people very easily move around from one place to another. There are a lot of people in India who are also Nepali. They are married from Nepal, and that's exactly the reality what you see. Right now, we are not in India. We've crossed over. We are in Nepal, and despite this kind of a porous nature, when we have people and normal movement, it is a bigger question that a lot of people, at least in Simanchal, in Kishangunj, are asking ki if we can move around so normally, why are you suddenly excluding people from the voter list? That's something for the Election Commission to answer, but the ground reality is what we are right now showing you.
People claim they have a relation of roti and beti with both the countries, Nepal and Bangladesh.
हो चाहे बांग्लादेशी हो चाहे म्यांमार का हो, यहाँ जेंट्स नहीं मिलेगा, पुरुष में नहीं मिलेगा। जहाँ तक मुझे जानकारी है, महिलाओं में है, वो भी खास करके नेपाल से।
Porous border, politics and policy paralysis to vote bank appeasement for long has changed the demography of the region. The special intensive revision of the Election Commission is too late a response. Even then, it's being carried out in a confused and scattered manner. This defeats the purpose, but certainly fans the politicking powers. With video journalist Sanjay, Shreya Chatterjee reports from Kishangunj, Bihar for India Today.
Shreya Chatterjee, who's been crisscrossing that region of Simanchal, joins me now live from Kishangunj. Shreya, first of all, you've traveled right across, and it's good to have feet on the ground. That's the only way to realize what is happening. What are you seeing? Are you seeing chaos? Are you seeing fear among people that their names could be struck off rolls? Or are you seeing BLOs working hard to ensure no one gets excluded? What have you picked up? Are people getting excluded? Is that a real fear, or is that irrational?
Well, Rajdeep, at least on the part of the BLOs, I won't say they are not working. They are overburdened with the targets that they are getting, and that's primarily why we see no documents being taken while this process is being done. So far, till the 25th, the process that the SIR will undergo looks like it's been diluted on the ground. So far as the fear of being left out, the Muslim pockets of Simanchal, because we've come across cases where people who have voted in 2024, some of them even have their names on the 2025 updated rolls. They say their names have gone missing. They are not getting an enumeration form. So they are scared. Those people, we have recorded their voices. But if you talk about the urban pockets, chaos is not there because BLOs are simply just taking the form. The chaos that we see is largely in the rural belts where BLOs are not visiting door to door and in these Muslim pockets of Simanchal.
What about the areas as you went to the Nepal border? Is there a fear that because the borders are porous and the government has claimed that there is a lot of illegal migration, that many of those who perhaps have been migrating, voting in Indian elections, suddenly find themselves, even though they may have the necessary documents, presumably, to be Indian citizens, including Aadhaar, voter identity cards from 2024, now are finding their names off the enumeration, yes or no?
Well, yes, that will probably be the process because combing of foreign nationals is happening. We have also got confirmation because I've met officials over here on the ground who have all told us off the record that yes, combing of foreign nationals is a process that is being undertaken by the BLOs. They are actually listing out their foreign nationals and they are not submitting the form as well right now. We've recorded a sequence also of that with one of the BLOs who said that they are actually taking the forms away. So migration and entering in the voter rolls have happened along these porous borders, and that's essentially why we see such statements also coming in from the Election Commission.
One final question. In general, do you believe that the exercise itself, perhaps therefore, from what you've gathered, will need to have an extended timeline? Given a July 25th deadline is becoming unrealistic, many of these areas have large migrant labor. Do you believe that that could solve part of the problem if this exercise was extended and there was greater clarity on the ground?
Well, absolutely, Rajdeep. There's no clarity on the ground. That's essentially why I say that the first half of the SIR process, which is submission of all the forms by 25th of July, there's a lot of confusion with the BLOs. They don't know the clarity. And I personally feel that they will probably be ending up actually submitting all the forms that are required by the given date because there's no documents being submitted. We have scenes recorded where online forms on the apps are being submitted without documents just by recommendation of a BLO. So if that is how diluted of submission of a form is, then very well we will be accomplishing in the given timeline. Having that, no one is getting an acknowledgement now. It's only after the process actually goes forward and moves towards August and September, we'll get larger clarity on the ground on what is actually happening so far as at least, leaving out foreign nationals are concerned.
Shreya Chatterjee, for joining me there from Kishangunj. Appreciate you joining me. Okay, the Bihar files, and we'll have more on that sting that Shreya has done in a moment, but let me raise big questions that have come from the story. EC's roll revision deadline. Is it simply impractical to expect 25th of July for crores of voters to have forms with documents? Remember, now forms are being collected without documents. Is this becoming a citizenship test, which is really not the responsibility of the Election Commission, but the Home Ministry? Is the onus being pushed on voters to prove their citizenship? And is the right to vote therefore under threat when the opposition claims vote Bandi? Is that fear or realistic? I'm joined by O.P. Rawat, former Chief Election Commission, Satyapal Jain, Additional Solicitor General of India. He's also been a BJP MP. And Shadan Farasat is Senior Advocate, Supreme Court. He's been appearing in this case in the courts. Appreciate all of you joining us. O.P. Rawat, let me get your first reactions. This entire exercise, is it being done in a hurry to meet deadlines, and thereby the real fear is there that genuine voters could also get excluded just because they don't have the necessary documents being provided to them?
Rajdeep, you are absolutely right, because intensive revision was generally done when elections were about a year or more away, so that the whole process is completed in 3 months, and thereafter all those aggrieved by deletion of their names in the final publication have enough time to resolve their issues and get justice for inclusion or exclusion, whatever it is. This time elections are just about a month away after the final publication. So that's why people are having panic, and they are confused what to do and how to get justice.
You know, that's an interesting point, because Satyapal Jain, there was a summary revision completed in Bihar in January of this year, and suddenly overnight on June 24th, the Election Commission says, ahead of Bihar, we are going in for a special intensive revision. Here is a former Chief Election Commissioner saying, this is normally done a year before an election, it's properly done. There seems to be some urgency to get it done before Bihar. As a result, a controversy is spiraling. Forms are being collected, as our reporter says, even without documentation.
See, all the controversies and all the fears, apprehensions are totally misplaced, unfounded, and they are in ignorance of the law of the registration of the voters. Let's first understand the procedure. Under the Representation of People Act 1950, there is a complete procedure prescribed as to who can be registered as a voter and what is the procedure for that. Under 1950 Act, there are 3-4 conditions. Number 1, you must be a citizen of India. You should not be less than of 18 years of age. You should be ordinary resident of the place where you want to be registered as a voter, and you should not be registered as a voter more than once, either in the same constituency or in 2 different constituencies or even in 2 different states. So these are the basic conditions. Then there is a booth level officer who coordinates the registration of the votes and revision of the electoral rolls under section 21C. Booth level officer is assisted by the booth level agents of all the political parties, and at a particular booth there are about 1000 to 1200, 1500 votes, meaning 300, 400 families. I do not think it is impossible for all the political parties and the BLO not to verify about 100, 1000, 1200 or 500 families, whether they are genuine or not.
Mr. Jain, no one is doubting the EC's constitutional powers under the Representation of People's Act. The question arises that when you go in for a special intensive revision of this kind just ahead of an election, you are creating unrealistic timelines. You are creating now additional bureaucratic layers by asking for documents that you didn't ask voters in the past, and thereby creating fears which could well be justified on the ground if many voters are excluded. So what was the urgency suddenly to do it in the monsoon months when large parts of Bihar are flooded out?
It is the initial revision which is taking place. The list will come, 90% people will be satisfied, 95% be. If you have any objection, under the registration of electoral rules, there is a procedure. You can immediately represent to the block officer. He will decide whether you have been rightly included or excluded. Then it is the district officer. Then it is the chief electoral officer. All steps have been provided. All remedies have been made available. Only unnecessarily they are trying to create hue and cry. Now is not the time like earlier one when I contested election 91 for the first time. Now everything is available on net. Everything is available on net. All forms are available. If you can't coordinate, just a minute, if your BLA, agent of a political party, is not able to coordinate at the booth level, it is the fault of the party, not of the system.
Okay, Shadan Farasat respond. According to Satyapal Jain, this is much ado about nothing. There are enough checks and balances within the system that even if my name is excluded, I am a genuine voter, I will have the right to vote there is a prescribed procedure. What's the real concern then?
Yes, the concern is at multiple levels. The first concern is that this is what the Election Commission calls a special intensive revision. This is not just an intensive revision. The word special has been added before intensive revision. Election Commission itself admits that no special intensive revision has been done in the history of India in 75 years, and Bihar is the first state where it is being done. What has been done in the past is only intensive revision. Now, what's the difference?
What was 2003? What was 2003?
That was only an intensive revision. There was no concept of a special, there was no concept of a special intensive revision until we heard it from Election Commission 20 days back. That's the first time they've introduced it. So I think that's important that your viewers have that clarity, that in the past, only what has been carried out is an intensive revision. This is a new creation of the Election Commission. That's point number one. Now, why is it problematic? It's problematic for the reason that everybody, irrespective of you being on an electoral list, have to submit this form, correct? If you don't get the form and therefore you're not able to submit it, or for any reason you're not able to submit it, despite you being in the 2025 electoral list, you will be straight away knocked out. Your name will not even figure in the draft roll, which is supposed to come on 1st August. So just by non-submission of a form, despite being on an electoral list, as of today, you will be knocked out. The investigation or whatever the hearing begins for people who are on the draft roll. Therefore, fundamentally, even now, if you have 9 crore voters or 8 crore voters, 1% is 8 lakh. Simple arithmetic tells us. So if you are not even able to give form to 1% people, 8 lakh people are knocked out of the roll straight away. Now, let's assume you are not able to give to 2%. That's 16 lakh. And if some of them are not able to submit, and Bihar has short-term migrant labor of a huge variety. In Punjab, there is going to be, right now sowing season. So a lot of people will be traveling. A lot of the working class of Bihar will be on a short-term migration, correct? Now, all of these people
today the Election Commission has put out full-page ads to say that migrant labor can go online on an app.
Is the Election Commission living in a real world, or are they living in some make-believe world? Ads for what? A person who's working in Punjab on a field, in a paddy field, is going to look at the Election Commission website and file a form? Are we kidding ourselves? I mean, what a joke. And this, unfortunately, is, I mean, I get the same sense which I got when it was demonetization. This is demonetization by Election Commission. You see the same level of problem with legality. You see the same level of problem with implementation on the ground. And you see the same level of excuses and justifications changing every day. 8 years, that was 2016, we are 9 years down the line. All of us know it was a failure, a massive failure. The government doesn't talk about it. And this is exactly what the situation with the special intensive revision is. Election Commission.
Mr. Rawat, you want to respond that this is now vote Bandi. You have a particular, like what we had with note Bandi, you've identified a problem that there are maybe voters who may not have the citizenship claims and you want to remove them of electoral roll. What do? You go in for an exercise that will actually exclude genuine voters. As Shadan Farasat says, if I'm a daily wage laborer working on a field in Punjab, am I going to sit and fill a form online and make sure that I'm on the form in the first place? Mr. Rawat.
It's true actually. Yeah, it's true. Actually, Election Commission themselves realized mid-course, around 6th of July, they came out with an advertisement because they felt that they won't be able to get any forms from nearly 3 crore voters. So they brought out an advertisement on Sunday that there is no need of proof or documents, you just submit the form, so that at least a semblance of reason is there, and nearly 7.5 crore voters are in the draft roll. Otherwise, there would have been only 5 crore voters, 2003 voter list. So they themselves made mid-course correction.
That's exactly, I'll come to you, Satyapal Jain, in a moment, but I want to show you what's actually happening on the ground once again. We actually did a hidden camera on one of the BLOs to find out how names are being deleted, how names are being included. I want you to listen in and then I'll come back to my guest. Listen in.
नेपाल का जो जुड़ा हुआ है, जानकारी नहीं था, जानकारी के आधार में जोड़ दिया गया उसको। अब अभी जो उसका नियम है क्या कि 7 साल के बाद, 7 साल के बाद जो है उसको आदेश देना होगा। जो उसका सिस्टम है, सिस्टम में नाम जोड़ना है।
जो आपके बांग्लादेशी है उनको तो कोई चिन्हित नहीं कर रहा है, सिर्फ नेपालियों को चिन्हित कर रहा है।
देखिए, बांग्लादेशी यहाँ नेपाली को मैंने वो चिन्हित सबको कर रहा है, नहीं तो किसी को नहीं कर रहा।
तभी तो पूछ रही हूँ आपसे, किसको चिन्हित कर रहे हैं, किन किन को?
अब हम कैसे पता करें ये नेपाल का है या इंडिया का है? अब मान लीजिए जाए वोटर लिस्ट में नाम है, जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स मांगा गया वो डॉक्यूमेंट्स उसके पास है, कंप्लीट है, तो वो कहीं का भी रहे, कोई उसका इसका तो कोई मतलब रहा नहीं, चाहे वो बांग्लादेश का हो, नेपाल का हो, भूटान का हो, जहाँ का भी रहे, जब वो डॉक्यूमेंट्स दे रहा है तो कोई दिक्कत है नहीं।
लेकिन ऐसे बांग्लादेशी आपने आइडेंटिफाई किया है, आप लोगों ने बताया ऊपर?
नहीं, ऐसा तो कुछ है ही नहीं।
यही पूछ रही हूँ, आपने बांग्लादेशी मुसलमान आइडेंटिफाई किया है आपके इलाके में?
अब तक तो नजर नहीं आया मेरा।
नहीं आया आपके नजर में?
अब देखिए नजर इसलिए नहीं आया है, मान ली जाए कोई भी जो भी हो, जो डॉक्यूमेंट दिया है उसका डॉक्यूमेंट लगाएगा ना, तो आप किसी को आप वास्तविक में उसका फादर है या नहीं है, लेकिन डॉक्यूमेंट्स अभी लगा के दे रहा है, बहुतों ने डॉक्यूमेंट्स नहीं किया अभी, और जब तक वो डॉक्यूमेंट हम देंगे नहीं तब तक वो पता चलेगा नहीं। एक
You know what, Satyapal Jain, this exercise was supposed to weed out the so-called illegal voters. As Shreya's report has shown on the ground, the BLOs are finding that impossible. There's a porous border with Nepal. And worse still, if I'm a Bengali from Murshidabad or Malda, I speak Bengali, immediately I'm called a Bangladeshi. This exercise seems to have the wrong, it is simply unable to realize the ground realities. That's the problem with it. It is again like Note Bandi. You're finding the wrong medicine to resolve the disease.
Not at all. Note Bandi has no similarity to the present situation. May I put a question to all my friends? Even when the voters are prepared, voter list is prepared, in any parliamentary or assembly elections, to my knowledge, maximum turnout was 70 or 75%. So what about the 30%, 20% who do not come to cast their vote? So it's not that everybody who is interested will be registered and will come to cast the vote. You get your right to register as a voter from the constitution and the law. And if you fulfill those conditions, you will be enrolled as a voter. And if the BLO doesn't enroll you as a voter, you have legal remedies, 4 channels available to you.
So but that will take months. That will take months. I'll be running around Bihar. The elections are just a couple.
Not months. No.
Okay.
No, not months. Within a day, 3 days, you can do it nowadays. See, if you can't have your BLA who is active, I told in the beginning, voter list is prepared at the booth level. There is a booth level officer. Then every party has a booth level agent at that level.
Okay.
Now, if your booth level agent is not active, he doesn't want to go to the voters, he doesn't want to verify, he doesn't want to get things done. Why do you blame the system? Okay. And why should you blame the officer and all those people? All apprehensions are unfounded in ignorance of the law. Let us study law, then there will be no problem at all.
Shadan Farasat, respond to what you heard. There are booth-level agents of every political party who can do the verification. This is not such a complicated process.
No, I will only say to Mr. Malik in response to what Mr. Malik is saying is that the law should not... Mr. Jain is saying is that the law should not exist in absence of the reality. It should not exist in the absence of the reality on the ground. It cannot. Law cannot be just for our imagination, right? So the law does not contemplate this, but be quite apart from the law. Is it possible, let's say there are problems with 2 or 3 crore people's, prima facie, nobody submitted a document as of now. It's quite obvious that BLOs, I originally belong from Bihar, I have family there. So I know that all they're doing is collecting forms. That's what the instructions to the BLOs on the ground is. Now, if you're just collecting forms, the real problem, one is exclusion at the level of collecting forms, which I pointed out in my initial comments. Then the problem will begin. Those from whom you have collected forms, now you have to get documentation from them. And based on that documentation, decide whether they are in or out and give them hearings. Are you telling me that the Election Commission has the capacity to give hearing to, say, even 1 crore people, personal hearings? That's what the law requires.
Yes.
I mean, is it possible? Is it feasible?
Yes.
Before election? Mr. Jain, I'm sorry. I mean, I really think we are living in 2 parallel worlds. I don't think it's at all possible or feasible to give hearings under Rule 21A and Rule 24 of the Election Commission Rules 1960 and determine based on documentation, that too in a span of time when elections are set in September or October. So this is completely...
May I reply?
I tell you, just allow me to complete, sir. Just allow me to complete.
Let him complete and I'll get you, Satyapal Jain. Yeah, complete.
Allow me to complete. All I'm saying is that this is something Election Commission itself realized that at the beginning stage, if they ask people to submit with documents, their numbers will be very low. So they did away with the documents. They have told their BLOs, just go collect the forms. Because otherwise what would have happened by 25th July, the numbers would have been out of 8 crores, 2 or 3 crores would have straight away not even submitted the form. And numbers would have, the numbers of exclusion, prima facie exclusion would have been very high. So in order to avoid that, they just said give the forms. But the real problem will still come thereafter. They don't have any solution. That's why I'm saying it's like demonetization. You keep on addressing problems as they arise. You have not thought through. You don't have a response and you say sab changa si. That's all.
Okay, sab changa si. Quick final 30-second response, Satyapal Jain. There are real practical, these are practical difficulties. Our story has exposed the practical difficulties.
I will only say, and if the election commission can hold election to 100 parliamentary constituencies, thousands and thousands of polling booths, crores of voters in a day, why can't you finalize the voter list within 3 weeks, 10 days, 12 days? All things are possible nowadays. The only thing is follow the law. And I don't agree with him that you have to, the law doesn't say and all that. We have things have to be done.
You have to physically verify the process. You have to give people an opportunity for a fair hearing. Okay, we leave it there. We leave it there. Our purpose, our purpose was only to highlight the issues on the ground. I hope people are waking up to the reality of what is happening on the ground in one of India's most populous states of Bihar. Without using words like vote Bandi, all I will say is that the public's right to vote must not be compromised.
If I'm a no example,
okay,
no parallel.
Okay, we'll leave it there. All we are saying is questions are being raised that need answers. And the Election Commission seems to be changing the goalposts all the time. Thank you to my panel for joining me. Let me turn from there to my other big story. And it's a shocker from Odisha. A 20-year-old student from Balasore died after self-immolating herself over alleged harassment by the college professor. The accused teacher and principal have been arrested, but Odisha is mourning. Protests are growing. And while the government may announce 20 lakh ex gratia, the opposition is questioning it as an institutional failure. Once again, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao under question. Take a look.
Odisha is draped in grief and rage. A 20-year-old student of Fakir Mohan Autonomous College in Balasore has become the new face of institutional betrayal and denied justice. She had set herself on fire outside the principal's office on Saturday after her complaints of sexual harassment against a teacher were ignored. After battling for 3 days, she succumbed to her injuries at AIIMS, Bhubaneswar on Monday night. As her body returned home, the entire town came together in mourning. It was a tragedy that could have been avoided. On July 1st, the victim had filed a complaint with the college committee, accusing head of department Sameer Sahu of allegedly demanding sexual favors. No action was taken for more than 10 days. Her self-immolation on July 12 sparked protest across the campus. The accused teacher was suspended and arrested. The principal, Dilip Ghosh, who failed to act on the complaint, was also suspended and arrested. The State Education Department formed a probe panel. The Chief Minister has announced 20 lakh rupees ex gratia for her family. Opposition parties blame the ruling BJP for failing the victim. Former Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik called the incident an institutional betrayal. Rahul Gandhi called it organized murder.
I think if the Chief Minister has an iota of sympathy for the family of that girl, an iota of sympathy for students' causes in this state, must ask for the resignation of the Education Minister, the local MP and the local MLA.
The fight has started and we need to stand by her. We need to fight for her till she gets justice, her family gets justice, till all the women in Odisha get justice. And this government, if they have little shame, and they accept the mistake, the Chief Minister should resign immediately.
पहले से सुसाइड के लिए कोशिश कर चुकी थी, ये सूचना मेरे को मिला, तब मैंने इनको 1 घंटा के आसपास समझाया, रामायण महाभारत का कहानी बता करके अपना सामर्थ्य बनाए रखने के लिए, कॉन्फिडेंस बनाए रखने के लिए बोला, किसी भी परिस्थिति में तुम हार मत मानो.
The opposition has called for an Odisha Band on Wednesday. She did not get justice while alive. Will she get it now? As Odisha awaits answers, the nation must ask, how many more before we listen? Bureau Report, India Today.